Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I figured I'd do a therapy session. Doing a little laundry this morning. Woke up, just trying to maintain as usual. Some days are easier than others in regards to my situation, and today ain't the easiest for some reason. I think it's one of those situations for me where you wake up in the morning, you think about a specific problem that you need to handle, and you start feeling anxiety about that problem, and you start feeling frustrated about that anxiety. That's what it is. I'm very tired of having that happen, period. Like, obviously it's something I've been dealing with for my whole life. If you've been following these therapy sessions, you're not gonna be surprised by that. But sometimes simple tasks, for whatever set of reasons, just stress me all the way out. In this case, is switching my phone carrier. I need to get rid of T-Mobile for the very first time. I've been with them for over 15 years, and we've gotten to a point where their tactics are draining me of money I can't afford to lose, and I need to find a better deal that gives me a monthly that I can deal with. Not to mention that the phone that I'm paying for should have been paid off already, so I just think they've been tacking on extra bills. I've had issues with them that I've told you guys about as well, calling them up, asking them to do certain things they didn't get it done, and will charge me for it, trying to double charge me for certain things only to tell me that they'll waive the fees if I simply ask them nicely. Like, just stuff like that has just gotten to a point where I can't even talk to a person in this country in regards to my bill, because everything is outsourced to India, China, wherever the hell. So most of these people can't help you, won't help you, and ain't interested in doing anything but securing those extra fees for their personal selves. I'm tired of T-Mobile entirely and need to get rid of them. And I want to get rid of their affiliates as well. So I'm trying to find somewhere that's affordable, that ain't attached to them. And so that's what it is. I found something, but I don't know if it's for me. So the part that's really bothering me is having a conversation with my friend who had an issue with T-Mobile, and she let me know that in order to keep the same number, you're gonna have to pay the entire bill. I'm not trying to fork over $300 to these people today just to keep my number, and then fork another $200 over to another carrier to start this process just so I can keep my damn number. I'm not spending $500 to do that. So I'm gonna have to contact people that I do not talk to at all and let them know that I'm likely changing my number and the number that they've known for me to have for the last 20 years, 15 years is just not gonna be the number I have for the very first time. And that is stressing me out entirely too much than it should be. But I can't allow this month to continue. They're gonna tack on another basically $150 to this bill and continue to cut me off every 2 weeks. I don't pay, whatever increments that they claim I agreed to, plus the $20 and $30 that are gonna be tacked on to a late fee that never disappears, because I'm never catching up. It's one of those situations like, because you don't catch up, they keep tacking on late fees. They tack on the late fees on top of the late fees, and they tack on other fees on top of those fees. So it's like your bill, you may be 1 month late and you're $150 over. So that's what's going on with me. And I'm really, really stressed about it, honestly. It's stressing me to no end because, just everything I just said, for whatever reason, is overwhelmingly frustrating. It's like it's $1 million on the line or something, and it's really not. But that's what bothers me, is my head, you know what I mean? I equate it to just allowing myself to be in my comfort zone for too long and not facing these types of struggles often enough for them to be normal, and that's what I end up doing to myself. I put things off for long periods of time and push things aside and let them get to their worst maximum possibility so that I don't have to ever deal with them. And when it's time to deal with them, it's just like, oh well, I deal with them. But they've gotten so bad till it's 10 times worse than it would have been had I fixed the situation. That's how. And if you followed my therapy sessions from the beginning, I might have mentioned how I found myself in this position with the phone in the first place. That phone that I have should not at all have cost as much as it did. I had a trade-in agreement to trade in my old phone for my new phone. And during the process of going through the beginning stages of this depression that I've been in for the last year and a half or whatever it is, this stage, I let that lapse. I didn't take the phone where it needed to go. I didn't mail it in because I wasn't leaving the house. So it was one of those situations where the time lapsed. I waited till the end, tried to sell them the phone, and they didn't take it. They were like, well, you can sell it at outsource and make up the money, the difference, but for the time being, we're just gonna tack on the price, and you're gonna have to pay that off. So I didn't take care of it for the same reason. All of that stuff gets as bad as it does, as I say it does, and now we're here. And the thing about me is, because there's no one around other than myself 100% of the time in my life, there's no counsel. There's nobody here to say, yo, B, you should probably take care of that. Or, yo, B, I know of another situation. How about you go to these guys? Or, yo, B, here's a couple dollars. Help you this month. Ain't none of that happening. So it's either me facing my anxiety or things getting worse. Those are the only two things that happen. So when you deal with severe anxiety like I do, and then you have all these things looming over you, yeah, it makes for some tough days sometimes. So that's what this is. I know this morning that I had to wake up and address that issue, because I got notification of my bill and what it's going to be currently worth for this month from T-Mobile. It's like, you know, they're already looming. I just paid them $100 last week. I paid them $100 a week before. I paid them $100 a week before, and still owe them $200. So if that doesn't tell you where we're at in regards to how ridiculous T-Mobile has gotten and how much stress they've caused me with this nonsense, I don't know what does. So that is what I'm dealing with. That is why I thought it was important to turn on the camera, because I'm legitimately stressing this out as if it's like moving or something. And it makes for a very hard life, to be honest with you. It really does. When you have simple tasks and you can't seem to bring yourself to do them for reasons that don't make for much stress at all, but just the notion that you're anticipating stress nevertheless, or even more so, less than stress, is frustration. The process of having to call people, ask for this, then call somebody else, ask for that, then call. That whole process is too much interaction for me. I'm too antisocial for that in some ways, I guess you could say. I'm too comfortable in my own comfort zone to where I never answer nobody, never ask for anything, to where when I have to address certain things, it's overwhelmingly stressful. So that's the byproduct. Whoa, get my hands right there. There we go. That's the byproduct of my struggles, I guess you could say, mental struggles. And while my brain does a lot of good things in regards to basketball, allowing me to put tea leaves together, so to speak, it also kicks my butt constantly, and does coerce me into having struggles that should not be so much of a struggle for me. But you know, this is how it goes, and so that's why this therapy session is necessary. That's why I turn on the camera. So the deal I found was, I think it was $150 for pretty much the same phone I'm holding, and then the bill would be like $60 a month or something for all of the stuff that I'm paying for right now. And what they have me on tap for is like $128. And so, needless to say, that's the deal I want. But switching my phone number is like, are you serious? They know how difficult it is to switch your phone number. You know, to have to do all of the business necessary to reach to everyone, and let all the businesses, all your friends, family, everybody know that you are now going to have a different number. They know how stressful it is, which is why they've tacked on this rule that I'm aware of, where they won't allow you to switch your phone number until you settle your score with them. Meanwhile, they're tacking on these bills, these fees, etc., to assure you can't settle that score. You know, and it's like, I know there's not going to be any regulations set. I don't think anybody's really paying attention to that right now at all. But it's completely out of control, especially when we're dealing with this financial crisis we're in. We can't afford for our phone carriers to embark on these type of tactics. You know what I mean? To try to coerce us out of the very little money that we have, so that we can stay communicating with one another, stay communicating with our followers. In my case, it's not. This is something that slipped through the cracks. That has allowed for a great deal of abuse, and that's exactly what I feel like I'm taking on. Mental abuse by corporations that have a lot more than me, who are in a position to do a whole lot in regards to not doing this. So that is frustrating for me personally, but that's what it is to be alive in America in 2022. And you know, if you don't like it, too bad. That's basically what we got for today. You know what I mean? Don't really have any power, but what you can do is get away from those people. What you can do, just like with any abusive relationship, whether it be business or otherwise, anything, you remove yourself. So that's what I intend to do, even if it puts me through a little frustration, a little stress, even if I have to change my number for the very first time since I've had a cell phone in my life. At the end of the day, I'm not going to allow comfort to keep me in an abusive situation. I'm not going to allow fear to keep me stuck in a toxic situation. And so that goes across all boards of all walks of life. Don't do it to yourself. You don't have to stay there. So yeah, that's one thing that's bothering me. Another thing that's bothering me, of course, is just waiting on MOAS, being an AMC ape for over a year and a half now, seeing hedge funds fall apart. You know, all of them, all the stuff that you want to see when you started on this journey is happening. All these guys that have been rigging the stock market for all this time, they're starting to get their comeuppance. They're losing money. They're going bankrupt. They're falling left and right. But we, the apes, haven't seen a dime for it. Somehow, despite these assholes going belly up, we still haven't seen a dime for our troubles. Not a dime. And that part is always frustrating. There's never a moment in my life since this began where that part isn't frustrating. When you know what you own should be able to take care of everything in your life and everything in everybody's life, you know, and you can't do nothing about it because you're being literally robbed by people who the government know are robbing you. But for whatever reason, they can't stop them no different than you can. So just like with any other situation, you stand your ground and you wait for the Lord to have his way. Because that's basically all we can do. We've done our part as apes. We're buying our shares, we're holding our shares. But as far as us benefiting from it, that just has to happen when it happens. And the wait is not fun. It's not fun. Especially for those of us who are dealing with mental health issues that keep us from wanting to do simple tasks like going to work. Yeah, it's hard trying to hold these shares when you're not working, to say the least. And I've had a lot of help. You know what I mean? I've mentioned that. I'll always mention that. I've had a lot of help, but I've been alone the whole time. So I can tell you this. I don't know if I've gotten stronger over the last year and a half, but what I have gotten is the ability to sit in situations that are frustrating and long anticipating type of moments where you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen and it ain't seem like it's never gonna happen. I think I've gotten better at living in those spaces based on this. And I was thinking about some of the sacrifices I've made. You know, I bought myself some sheets, some bed sheets. I bought myself some shorts, things like that. I went a whole year without even buying anything like that because of the type of sacrifices I was willing to make to keep my shares. You know what I mean? Like, I went a whole year, and still am to a degree, going a whole year sacrificing very basic things so that I can manage what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it. And then I was thinking about, like, you know, I'm telling myself, like, okay, well, very easily you can't lose sight of the fact that it is you not working that is ultimately the problem. But then when I think about how I felt last time I was at work or coming home from work, and how reckless my mind felt, how very little I cared about living at that moment, and seeing as how toxic that actually is to be a professional in that, with that energy. Never mind my personal circumstances. You're doing customer service and you got that type of mentality. You're doing security. You're supposed to be responsible for other people's safety, and that's where your head is at. Like, being completely responsible. I understood that I wasn't stable enough to do the job I needed to do. Whether my superiors saw it that way or not, I needed to self-assess. And I came to the conclusion that I was bad for the job and the job was bad for me. And so that was a hard decision. Like I said, I did it without counsel. You know, it was ill-advised, obviously. And a year and a half later, I'm still standing. Somehow, a year and a half later, with one set of support from my grandfather, no set of support from unemployment because they denied me, and a little bit of SNAP help, which got denied as well. That's also stressing me because they cut my SNAP off. Same situation. SNAP is food stamps. For those who don't know, California's version of food stamps is called CalFresh, and within CalFresh, it's considered snaps. Snaps is the money itself they give you. So they cut mine not because I didn't qualify anymore, but because they want to know how much AMC I hold. Yeah, exactly that. For whatever reason, the government wants to know exactly how much stock I hold. Now, mind you, I have no problem telling them. I'll tell them. But the issue was, every time I tried to submit that information, it would be a reason or another I couldn't. The app is down, the website is being worked on. So it would just fell through the cracks, and it became a situation where I realized that the date that they said they were going to stop replenishing my SNAP passed, and they had still been replenishing my SNAP. So I'm like, why the hell am I going to tell you this information if you're still replenishing? But they just stopped it. They stopped it a couple of months after they said they would. So I got to submit that information, and a part of me really, really doesn't want to, for obvious reasons. If you're following this whole movement, you know that nobody needs to know what I own. Put it like that. Nobody needs to know. Not even people I love. They don't know exactly what I have. And that's because of the nature of what it is that we're dealing with. So the last thing I want to do is tell the government what it is that I own. However, they're going to know anyway through taxes. And not only that, but if they're stopping the snaps, then obviously I'm going to be using the money held in the shares to pay for the food. So it's a damned if I do, damned if I don't. Damned either way. So I don't know what to do other than to say I'm damned. And so this is what happens, you know what I'm saying? That's why when I talk into this camera to these basketball players and I speak as if they're listening to me, it's because I want them to understand, like, yo, yeah, money isn't everything, but please don't leave $36 million on the table, fam. Don't do it, because I'm not in a position to be able to help myself with just a third of a fraction of that. You know what I mean? I'm not in a position to say, nope, I can't do it, or I'd rather not. You know what I mean? And because I'm not in a position to say I'd rather not, or rather, I want people who are in a position to say I'd rather to really consider what's in front of them. Don't take just anything, but really consider what's in front of you. You know what I mean? Because if something was in front of me, I'm signing it. Within reason, of course. But there's a lot going on here that makes that reason broad at this point. And I would wish it would not to be. I would wish I would not be strangle-held to the need for money, because I don't love money. I don't even like money that much, to be honest with you. It's probably why I don't have much of it. Because everything people have to do to get it, stuff that stresses me out and makes me hate life. Hustling, hurting people, selling poison to my family, whomever, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff that depresses, makes me feel worse inside. So I might be rich as hell, but I want to, do the worst to myself because I hate being me in the process. I know that sounds corny, but I think that's exactly what it is. And so that's why I haven't made certain choices that other people make, because I just don't have a stomach for it. I really don't. I think that certain brains can't go down certain paths. You understand what I'm saying? I think that some people who may not be self-aware, may just stumble into certain things, whatever. Maybe you're young, you don't know any better. But once I realized I had this particular brain, I knew I couldn't go down certain paths, because if I do certain things, it's going to make me a lot worse than maybe the average person, just based on how I am. And I know that. Just like if I practice the right things, I think I can be better than the average person, because the Lord has given me such a brain that allows me just the confidence to feel that way and the ability to see the evidence in applied thought. So that makes me feel confident, but at the same time, it concerns me. And it does keep me from allowing myself to go down certain roads. So I don't. I simply don't. And it keeps me broke. And I get that. And it's a sacrifice I've made that I do not like. But here comes a money tree opportunity with AMC. Oh my God. Nothing like this ever come my way, right? So I got to take advantage. And here I am trying to. And here we are. Nothing to show for it. Nothing tangible anyway. Now, granted, I've gained a lot in this house, including the ability to talk to you guys in this camera about whatever I'm going through. But, there needs to be an influx of cash in this household very soon. Whether I like the process of going after it or not, that shit needs to happen. And we're not in a place where, I feel like being nice about it in any way. It's just where we're at. So as I speak, I know I have things to do that stress me, and that's just the life I'm living. So all in all, man, these are not big problems. They just feel big. They feel big. That's the problem. It feels like weight weighing down on my head, like this ugly hairline. It's just weight, you know what I mean, of all these different little things. And it's not only that, but it's like knowing that you have the money to take care of these issues. Like, for example, I don't have my vehicle, right? But if someone told me you have to get a vehicle, I'm in a position to get it. If I can't necessarily pay my rent right now because of what I'm doing. But if they came to my door, said, we're going to put you in jail if you don't give us the money, I'm in a position to do it. And I'm thankful for that. But that also creates a sense of confusion, because the money's there, but it's not. You know what I mean? So when I see notices on my door saying you got 3 days or we're going to kick you out if you don't pay this amount, it's like, I can pay that amount, but what will I be sacrificing in the fullness of my life if I do that? If I sell 200 shares of AMC to pay my rent right now, just to turn around and have to pay my rent next month, I'm going to be out of my shares before I know it, trying to do it the way I've been doing it. So it just gets to a point where you're like, you don't see no way out. And the only thing that I really see is going back out there and trying to be a professional and praying to God I don't crash out in the process. Praying to God that he doesn't put me in a space of mind where I just am not a very good professional in that process. you know? And this is the ego also. It's like, I graduated from that. I don't have to do that no more. That's like when a basketball player, they played in the G League and then they make it to the big leagues. It's like GP2 going back to the G League. I ain't going back to G League, fam. Like, I've already made it out of that. I should never have to do security again. I own such and such and such and such an AMC. And that is deserving of making it so that I don't ever have to work again. Like, that's the irrational nature of what it is that I've wrestled with every day. That's the thing that motivates me to stay still despite needing everything that I need. Is that, why the hell am I going back out there when I lived that already for 10 years and hated every second of it? And when I get back out there, all I'm gonna do is replenish that hatred, and it's not gonna be worth it. I'm gonna have enough money to pay my bills, but now I'm gonna be feeling like I don't wanna live. So how do I, it's either you stay in this house, be broke and be happy, or go out there and work and be miserable. Just like there's no peace. There's no peace to be found. And all I'm really doing is satisfying those who are demanding money of me. Pay us, you owe us. We're calling every 5 minutes, putting stuff on your door. We're cutting your phone off. Like, that's the only thing I'm really satisfying by going out there and actually doing that. Because I'm not satisfying anything in myself. I'm miserable doing it. So it's like, at 38 years of age, like, you legitimately see death as a path that gets you out of that. And the reason why I look at it that way, even though I know that's toxic and it's horrible, we shouldn't do that, is because when you're 38, you can see your body headed downhill, right? I feel like I'm at my physical peak at this point. So whatever stress I'm gonna be going through going forward is gonna make me feel even worse than what it does right now based on where the body's headed. So if I can't get myself out of the situation at 37, I feel like by the time I'm 45, if situations are worse, I'm gonna be even less healthy. And I don't wanna go through that. That's literally how I look at it. You know, I'm one of those people that don't necessarily wanna be 80, 90 years old, having nurses surrounding me and I can't take care of myself. I'd rather leave here now than do that, to be honest with you. The only thing that makes me really wanna hold on to life and to God, honestly, is two things. One, the fact that I'm not a dad, would like to be. I think that's a very important thing. And two, the passions that I have. NBA basketball talk, playlist curation, art. Those are the things that make me want to be here. Without those things, I really don't see no reason for myself at all. To be honest with you. Without those things, there's nothing here but me and my stresses. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's and it's hard to, when I talk to certain people, they don't really get that at all. Like the overall perspective that I have, where this is the only reality, is something that they don't really get for whatever reason, which is fine. I don't think I get them either. You know what I mean? But that's why I don't interact very much, because I find that people don't get my perspective, and so it's like, I can't make you understand that I struggle with something that shouldn't be struggled with. All intent and purposes, there's something wrong here, and because of it, it doesn't allow me to see things the right way. But I'm aware that I don't see things the right way, so I struggle with that. And it's like, you try to let people in, they sitting there disappointed because you're not moving. They say, why don't you just? It's just like, all right, thank you all, but I'm cool. I'm gonna be right over here. If you want to see me, check out BDF 44. That's where I'll be at. Like, that's how I feel, man. I live in this camera in that regard, because my human interactions, with the exception of my mother and good friends here and there, things like that, it's just me trying to live up to something that I ain't never gonna be. And I didn't really understand what it was, so I didn't know what I was giving them. Just confused, you know what I mean? At all times. You know, that's what it was, a lot of confusion. I'm trying to be like this, I'm trying to be like y'all. I hate how I look, I hate how I feel, blah, blah, blah. Let's go out, pretend I'm having fun in certain situations. I'm not like y'all, I don't wanna be here. It was a lot of that with my friends. Like, I love y'all, but I don't wanna be here. Y'all wanna go out and drink here? I don't wanna drink here. I don't wanna be around none of these people. I don't want the pressure to have to talk to that girl. I don't want the pressure of having to dress this way. I don't care about having conversations with these strangers. Like, I was different. And so I pretended to not be so that I can fit in with people that I really love. And it just got to a point where I just didn't care to do that anymore. Just stop. Like, for what? It didn't make me happy. You know, none of it made me happy. I'd be sitting up in a club somewhere, sitting in a corner, listening to the music, vibing high out of my mind, but I didn't want to be involved in any of that stuff. I felt like a ghost in the room, you know, when I go to certain places. So it's like, when you have that perspective in life, and as a professional, you're a guard, those two things don't match. You can't be a ghost in the room. You got to be active. You can't be someone who sits in the corner and just observes. You got to be able to jump in and intervene and get involved in things, stuff like that. And that spacey way of my living, that spacey, distant kind of mentality, that absent-mindedness nature of myself, it didn't work. it would make for situations where I would not be sharp as I needed to be as a guard, you know? So it's like, you know when you do something for a long period of time, whether or not you're in something you should be involved in, you know? Doing this art thing, I can see the incremental progression of my art. I'm getting better. When I do playlists, I'm getting better. The more I talk in this camera, I find myself more comfortable. It's easy for me to speak, getting better. Doing security for 10 years, I didn't get better at that at all. I did that for a good 10 years and didn't feel like I was any closer to being a last line of defense than I felt when I first started. I'm just not that person. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm about 5'10", 170 pounds. I'm nobody's enforcer, fam. I'm not. You know what I mean? God didn't give me that physicality. I ain't afraid of punishment. I ain't afraid of physicality. I'll push around. Never been afraid of that kind of stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the mass I have and the mentality I have is meant for that. It's not. So it's like, you know what I mean? You don't really see a way into what it is that you're actually good at based on the limitations you place on yourself. So it's not like you see a peak of success in what are the things you love in the things that you love to do either. It's not like I feel like I'm gonna reach LeBron level simply based on my head. I won't allow myself to. So that's when you start looking at all your options. You're like, yeah, that's pretty, it works. It works. Now, granted, I don't want to go through the process of having to go through it, which is why I'm still here. Amongst other things, of course. But I'm telling you, like, my brain always works like that. It's always been like that. I never looked at leaving the earth as a means of something that was bad. It was just, for myself, escape. It was escape. I was able to finally not feel whatever I'm feeling. Now, granted, whatever you feel on the other side may be worse, which is also something that kept me here. The fear of hell and all that mumbo jumbo about you doing something to yourself and put you in, in a space where you burn. Hey, I don't know that ain't true. I was raised in a religion where that is supposed to be fact. So, that also kept me sticking around. But I'm telling you, man, I'm telling y'all the truth. I ain't never been attached to life like that. Never have. Never have. I don't think I've been passionate about anything until these last maybe a couple of years when I found music was my passion. That was when I really started saying, you know what? Yeah, living ain't all that bad. Probably around 30. Yeah, seriously. So, you know what I mean? It's just amazing how the Lord allows me to still be here when I've had that little desire to. But nevertheless, I see the fruit in keeping it going. Now that I have this AMC thing, I ain't going nowhere. I'm not leaving until I see more, that's for sure. And not only that, but it's like, when you do find all these passions, you understand that all the pains and all the frustrations in 30 years was meant so that you can be where you are at this moment and make what it is you're making. And if he didn't give me all of that, I wouldn't feel all of this. But, I wouldn't have done all of this. Rather, I've been able to accomplish what I have, I've been have the perspective that I do, etc. and all that. But at the same time, it's like, you got to be real with people. You got to let them know. Like, hey, I think a lot of people who feel the way I feel are afraid to express it because they're afraid of how people are going to look at them. I am not. People have been looking at me like I'm crazy my whole life. I am crazy. It's okay. I'm also very, very self-aware, smart, and have my parameters about me, which allows me to respect your space in your life. So, I was given the things that allow me to be human, even though inside I feel distant at times. But, I think the most important thing is my relationship with God, that prayer life that keeps me from going off the complete deep end, keeps me from really jumping off a roof or something. It's that belief that I can, count on him even though I'm alone, that I'm not fully alone. And so that kind of stuff is, it's helpful, it's good for the mind, it's good for the spirit. And so that's the truth, man. That's what it is. I'm telling you guys, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It's not that I feel any worse or any better than I usually do. Me speaking this way is declaring how I always feel. It's not necessarily specific to this moment at all, really. I feel fine, but those who may be alarmed by what I said, this is real. This is BDF 44. I'm going to be a person who is in a lane where you're going to look at me for what I am. Not for what it is I'm putting on, not for what it is the machine tells you I am. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. If the whole world knows me, you're going to know exactly who I was. Within reason. Because obviously certain stuff is not my business to share. But as far as everything I can, by the time I find myself really grasping everyone's feelings about who I am, I'll already be gone. And that's not limited to myself. That's everybody. when you start thinking about what they think of me, what do they think of me, by the time you come to the conclusion of every soul who've ever come across you, if for the time that you find that you finally get what's in their mind about you, it's going to take a million years, 2 million, maybe 3 million, for you to unravel and decipher the opinions of everyone who comes across you. It's not happening. You're never going to get it. It's always going to be some projection of what it is that you think they think. It's always going to be some interpretation of what they say about you that you take from them. That may change. By the time you grasp what it is that they've said about you, they may have changed their mind about you. These are the things that the insecurities in our minds don't allow us to feel. We will hang our hat on every negative thing. I watch a lot of celebrities, a lot of them. They will look at all the negative things in the comment section, won't acknowledge a single positive thing. But any negative thing, they ready to speak to the haters. They ready to speak to the haters. That's because the haters, a lot of times I found those people are haters. They are able to identify and connect with that energy because that is the energy that they have inside them. It's true. It's very true. A lot of times the main people talking about the haters are the haters. They are the haters. They are the ones that keep the hate alive by acknowledging it, being present with it, engaging in it. They keep it alive. It don't exist if not the acknowledgement of the people who acknowledge it. Just something I wanted to throw in there random, because I hear a lot of that, see a lot of that. These haters, all these haters. No, I don't have any haters. I have perceptions about what people may think of me as I listen to whatever it is they have to say. If I stop listening, all I'm left with is a thought that maybe someone thinks something. And whatever it is that is, I'm gonna come to that conclusion inside of my own head regardless. They could be mad dogging me. If I interpret it as a smile, that's what it is. So, you never actually know. So don't hang your hat on that. It's what I would suggest. Anyway, thank you guys for allowing me to stall. I did not want to handle what I have to handle today. Still don't. Don't think I feel a lot better about any of it, honestly. I thought I would. I don't. But at least I got all of this out, and I'll be able to listen to it for 30 minutes, and hopefully after listening to it, I will feel better. At any rate, I hope you all feel better. I hope I didn't alarm you to no end. I hope I didn't waste too much of your time. I hope you didn't waste your time listening to all of this if you didn't want to. But if you did, I truly appreciate your attention. And my intention is to just vent this out, get it out, and let it stay where it is. Capture it. I was alive to feel it, and now it's gone. BDF 44. Thank you all for watching.